If you're over 60, you've probably heard the same advice recycled 100 times. Cut the salt, take your pills, try to relax. And look, none of that is wrong, but it's incomplete. There is a mineral deficiency so widespread, so consistently overlooked, that researchers have started calling it a silent epidemic. The mineral is magnesium, and its relationship to high blood pressure is one of the most well-documented connections in nutritional science, yet somehow it barely gets mentioned in a standard doctor's visit. Today, we're going to walk through exactly why magnesium matters so much for your cardiovascular system, how to recognize whether you might be running low, what drains it from your body faster than you'd expect, and, most importantly, the specific, practical steps you can take starting tonight to begin correcting the problem. No gimmicks, no expensive protocols, just clear information you deserve to have. Let's get into it. So, why magnesium specifically? Your body contains about 25 grams of it total, roughly the weight of 5 nickels. That sounds insignificant until you realize what those 25 grams are responsible for. Magnesium regulates the electrical signals that keep your heartbeat steady and rhythmic. It helps your blood vessel walls relax and widen, which directly lowers the pressure your blood exerts against those walls. It controls how your body handles calcium. And without enough magnesium acting as a gatekeeper, calcium floods into smooth muscle cells and causes those vessels to constrict to tighten like a fist. Your blood pressure rises, not because something attacked your body from the outside, but because an internal balancing act tipped the wrong direction. Think of magnesium as the brake pedal in your cardiovascular system. Calcium is the accelerator. It contracts muscles, tightens vessels, speeds up electrical impulses. Magnesium does the opposite. It softens, it opens, it calms. When you don't have enough of the brake pedal mineral, the accelerator runs unchecked. Vessels stay constricted. The heart works harder than it needs to. Pressure builds. A 2016 meta-analysis published in the journal Hypertension, that's the American Heart Association's own journal, examined data from over 2,000 participants across 34 clinical trials. The conclusion was striking. Magnesium supplementation produced meaningful reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure, and the effect was strongest in people who were genuinely deficient to begin with. Not a fringe study, not alternative medicine, mainstream cardiology research confirming what nutritional scientists had been saying for decades. And yet, how many of you have had a doctor sit down, look you in the eye, and say, "Before we increase your blood pressure medication, let's check your magnesium levels"? Probably very few. There's a reason for that gap, and it matters. Here's the problem with detecting low magnesium, and it's a problem that trips up even experienced physicians. The standard blood test, the one your doctor orders during routine blood work, measures serum magnesium. That's the magnesium floating around in your bloodstream. Sounds reasonable, right? Except only about 1% of your body's total magnesium supply lives in the blood. 1%. The other 99% is tucked away inside your bones, your muscles, your organs, and your cells. Your body treats blood magnesium levels like a thermostat. It will pull magnesium out of bones and tissues to keep that blood reading looking normal for as long as physically possible. So you can walk into a lab, get your blood drawn, see a magnesium number that falls within the normal range on the printout, and still be profoundly depleted at the cellular level where it actually counts. It's like checking whether a house has a water problem by only looking at the kitchen faucet. The pipes behind the walls could be bone dry, but that faucet might still produce a trickle. This is why so many seniors and their doctors miss it entirely. The number on paper looks acceptable. Meanwhile, inside the body, 300 enzymatic processes are running on fumes. A more accurate test exists. It's called an RBC magnesium test that measures the magnesium inside your red blood cells rather than just floating in the plasma. Some integrative physicians order it routinely. Most conventional practices don't. If you remember nothing else from this section, remember to ask for the RBC magnesium test by name at your next appointment. Write it down if you need to. RBC magnesium. It could reveal a deficiency that standard blood work has been hiding for years. Now, even if you were getting adequate magnesium 20 or 30 years ago, there are specific factors that accelerate loss as you age, and several of them are painfully common after 60. Medications. This one stings because it creates a vicious cycle. Certain blood pressure medications, particularly thiazide diuretics and loop diuretics like furosemide, work by flushing excess fluid from your body, effective for reducing pressure in the short term. But those same drugs flush magnesium right along with the fluid. So the medication prescribed to manage your hypertension may be quietly deepening the very mineral deficiency that contributed to the hypertension in the first place. Proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, omeprazole, lansoprazole, those names might ring a bell, also significantly reduce magnesium absorption when taken long term. The FDA issued a formal warning about this back in 2011, 15 years ago, and plenty of seniors are still on these drugs without anyone monitoring their mineral levels. Aging kidneys. As kidney function gradually declines with age, a normal part of getting older, the kidneys become less efficient at holding on to magnesium. More of it slips through and exits in your urine. You're literally losing it faster than your younger self did, even if your diet hasn't changed at all. Dietary shifts. Appetite often decreases after 60. Meals get smaller. Cooking feels like more effort than it used to, so convenience foods show up more frequently. Processed and packaged foods are notoriously poor sources of magnesium. Meanwhile, the foods richest in magnesium, dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, legumes, tend to appear less and less on the plate as the years go on. Soil depletion. This one goes beyond individual habits. The magnesium content of fruits and vegetables has dropped measurably over the past 50 to 70 years due to industrial farming practices that strip minerals from the soil. A cup of spinach your grandmother ate in 1960 contained significantly more magnesium than the same cup of spinach you'd buy at the grocery store today. You could be eating the right foods and still coming up short simply because those foods aren't as mineral rich as they used to be. Stress and poor sleep. Cortisol, the hormone your body releases under stress, burns through magnesium rapidly, and low magnesium in turn makes it harder to sleep. Poor sleep raises cortisol. The cycle feeds itself, especially during periods of grief, health anxiety, financial worry, or caregiving exhaustion. Many seniors know these burdens intimately. Magnesium deficiency doesn't always announce itself with dramatic symptoms. Often it whispers, and those whispers get mistaken for just getting older. Muscle cramps that jolt you awake at 2 in the morning, particularly in the calves and feet. Eyelid twitches that come and go for no apparent reason. A feeling of tension across your shoulders and neck that no amount of stretching fully resolves. Fatigue that persists even after what felt like a decent night's rest. Heart palpitations, that unsettling flutter or skip in your chest that your cardiologist can't quite pin on anything structural. Constipation that worsens despite adequate fiber and water intake. Anxiety or a persistent sense of inner restlessness that doesn't match your external circumstances. Any one of these symptoms on its own could point in a dozen directions. But when 2, 3, or 4 of them cluster together, especially in someone over 60 who also happens to be dealing with resistant hypertension, the magnesium connection deserves serious consideration. Have you experienced any of these? Think about it honestly. Sometimes the body has been sending messages for months or years, and we learn to tune them out because we assume they're just part of aging. They might not be. If you're over 60, or if you're caring for an elderly parent, a spouse, a neighbor, a friend, this information could genuinely be life-saving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure remains the single largest risk factor for stroke and heart failure in older adults. And if a correctable mineral deficiency is contributing to that pressure staying elevated, then identifying and addressing it isn't some optional wellness luxury. It's fundamental. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We put out content like this specifically for seniors and the people who love them, and there is so much more coming that you won't want to miss. Let's talk about solutions. And we'll start where medicine should always start, with food. The recommended daily intake of magnesium for men over 60 is around 420 milligrams. For women over 60, roughly 320 milligrams. Most American adults are getting somewhere between 200 and 260 milligrams. That gap matters. Here are the richest food sources, and I want you to picture yourself realistically incorporating these, not overhauling your entire kitchen overnight, but making small, steady additions. Pumpkin seeds. 1 ounce, that's a small handful, about 2 tablespoons, delivers 156 milligrams of magnesium, nearly half a day's requirement from a snack you could sprinkle on oatmeal or yogurt. Dark leafy greens. Cooked spinach, Swiss chard, collard greens. 1 cup of cooked spinach provides around 157 milligrams. Sauté it in olive oil with a pinch of garlic salt and black pepper. 3 minutes on the stove, that's all it takes. Black beans. 1 cup cooked gives you 120 milligrams, plus fiber, plus protein, a simple side dish, a base for soup, extraordinarily affordable. Almonds. 1 ounce, roughly 23 almonds, contains 80 milligrams. Keep a jar on the counter. Grab a handful with your afternoon coffee. Dark chocolate, not milk chocolate. Not milk. Dark, 70% cacao or higher. 1 ounce provides about 65 milligrams of magnesium, along with antioxidants. A square or two after dinner, permission granted. Avocados. 1 medium avocado holds around 58 milligrams. Mashed on toast, sliced into a salad, eaten with a spoon straight from the skin. All perfectly valid methods. Bananas. Often praised for potassium, but a medium banana also contributes about 32 milligrams of magnesium. Not the highest source, but an easy, gentle addition for people whose appetites run small. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is consistently nudging your daily intake upward by choosing magnesium-dense foods more often than you currently do. Even adding 1 or 2 of these foods daily can make a measurable difference over weeks. For many seniors, food alone may not close the gap, especially if medications, kidney changes, or absorption issues are in play. That's where supplementation becomes practical. But not all magnesium supplements are equal. Walk into any pharmacy or health food store and you'll see a dozen different forms on the shelf. This matters more than marketing wants you to believe. Magnesium glycinate. This is magnesium bonded to the amino acid glycine, well absorbed, gentle on the stomach, promotes calmness and supports sleep quality. For seniors dealing with hypertension and nighttime restlessness, this is often the strongest starting recommendation. Magnesium taurate. Bonded to the amino acid taurine, which itself has cardiovascular benefits. Some cardiologists specifically favor this form for blood pressure support. Taurine helps regulate calcium flow in heart cells, so the combination is doing double duty. Magnesium citrate. Good absorption, widely available. Slightly more likely to loosen the bowels at higher doses, which can actually be a benefit for seniors dealing with constipation, but worth knowing about so you're not caught off guard. Magnesium oxide. This is the form you'll find in most cheap, mass-market supplements. Absorption rate is poor. Estimates range from 4 to 10%. You're mostly paying for magnesium that passes straight through you without being taken up by your cells. Skip it unless cost is an absolute barrier and it's the only option available. Magnesium L-threonate. Specifically studied for crossing the blood-brain barrier. Excellent for cognitive support and memory, but generally more expensive and not the primary choice for blood pressure alone. A reasonable starting dose for most seniors is between 200 and 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium daily, taken in divided doses, half with lunch, half with dinner, or half with dinner and half before bed. Start on the lower end, increase gradually. Your bowels will tell you if you've gone too fast. One critical note: if you have kidney disease, particularly stage 3 or beyond, Magnesium supplementation requires direct supervision from your physician. Compromised kidneys cannot clear excess magnesium efficiently, and levels can build to dangerous concentrations. This isn't something to self-manage in that specific situation. Talk to your doctor. Bring this video up if it helps start the conversation. Magnesium works best when it isn't fighting against everything else in your daily routine. A few simple lifestyle adjustments amplify its impact considerably. Reduce refined sugar intake. For every molecule of sugar your body processes, it burns through magnesium to do it. Sodas, pastries, sweetened cereals, flavored yogurts, each serving chips away at your reserves. You don't need to eliminate sugar entirely, just recognize it as a magnesium thief and act accordingly. Moderate alcohol consumption. Alcohol increases urinary magnesium excretion by as much as 260% in some studies. A glass of wine with dinner occasionally is one thing. Nightly drinks add up to significant mineral loss over months and years. Prioritize sleep. Magnesium supports sleep, and sleep supports magnesium retention. Taking your magnesium glycinate supplement 30 to 60 minutes before bed can create a positive feedback loop. Better mineral status leading to deeper rest leading to better mineral conservation. Epsom salt baths. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate. While the degree of transdermal absorption is still debated in the literature, many seniors report noticeable improvements in muscle tension, cramping, and overall relaxation from soaking in warm water with 2 cups of Epsom salt dissolved in the tub for 15 to 20 minutes. At minimum, the warm water and quiet time lower cortisol. At best, you're absorbing meaningful amounts of magnesium through the skin. Low cost, no downside. Worth incorporating once or twice a week. Move your body gently. Walking, stretching, light gardening, tai chi. Moderate physical activity improves circulation, which improves mineral delivery to tissues. You don't need a gym membership. You need 20 minutes of intentional movement and fresh air. Many seniors feel hesitant to bring up nutritional topics with their physician. Some worry about being dismissed. Others don't want to seem like they're questioning their doctor's expertise. Let me reframe that for you. You are not questioning anyone's expertise. You are advocating for your own health with information grounded in published peer-reviewed research. That is your right and, frankly, your responsibility. Here's a simple script you can adapt. Walk in and say something like, "I've been reading about the connection between magnesium deficiency and hypertension. I'd like to get an RBC magnesium test. Not just the standard serum test to see where I stand. I'd also like to review whether any of my current medications might be depleting my magnesium levels." Clear, respectful, specific. Any good physician will appreciate a patient who comes prepared. If they push back or dismiss the idea entirely, that itself is information worth having about whether you're receiving thorough care. Let's bring this together. High blood pressure after 60 is not inevitable. It is not simply what happens to bodies that accumulate enough birthdays. In many cases, it is a downstream consequence of a system running without adequate raw materials, and magnesium sits at the very top of that list. Your blood vessels need magnesium to relax. Your heart needs magnesium to maintain a steady rhythm. Your nervous system needs magnesium to shift out of the stress response that keeps cortisol elevated and blood pressure climbing. 300 biochemical reactions depend on this single mineral, and roughly half of American adults, with even higher rates among seniors, are not getting enough. The causes are identifiable: medications that flush it out, aging kidneys that can't hold on to it, processed diets that never provided it, depleted soils that stripped it from the produce aisle before you ever pushed your cart through. The solutions are accessible: pumpkin seeds on your morning oatmeal, cooked spinach alongside your dinner, a quality magnesium glycinate or taurate supplement before bed, an Epsom salt bath on Sunday evening, an honest conversation with your physician, and one specific blood test, RBC magnesium, that could reveal what standard panels have been missing for years. You didn't come to this video by accident. Something about the title resonated. Maybe your blood pressure has been creeping upward despite doing everything you were told. Maybe you're tired of medication adjustments that never quite solve the problem. Maybe you just had a feeling that something was being overlooked. Trust that feeling, it brought you to the right place. If this video gave you something useful, a fact you didn't know, a test to ask for, a food to add to your grocery list, do me a personal favor. Share it with someone you care about. Send it to your spouse, your sibling, your best friend from church, your adult son or daughter who worries about you. Blood pressure affects families, not just individuals, and sometimes the right piece of information reaches the right person at exactly the right moment. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever had your magnesium levels tested? Have you noticed any of the symptoms we talked about today? I read every single comment, and your experience might be the thing that helps someone else watching feel seen. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell. We cover topics like this every week. Practical, research backed health information designed specifically for people over 60 and the families who love them. Take care of yourselves. You've earned every good year ahead of you, and your body still has so much capacity to heal when you give it what it needs. I'll see you in the next one.